I'm going to start the recording. Okay. All right. Well, here we are on Facebook, the Friday feature for the Empowered, Aware, and Thriving Network group. And today, my guest is Kay Dragon, and she is a gifted psychic and
Hey, hi
channeler.
there. I think I have to adjust I have to get out of your page here. There we go.
Okay.
There.
Yep. On
'Cause I had
Facebook.
the
Yep.
sound on, so we were kind of,
Getting echoes.
yeah, getting
The
echoes.
time delay, that's always distracting.
Yes.
So Kay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me.
Yeah, tell us about yourself and how you came to this whole adventure that you're doing.
Wow, that's a long story.
I know.
Oh.
Tell us what you want, I guess.
It started, probably in my 20s. Actually, and when you think about it, you can think about, there's the big kind of moments that you remember, but then there's smaller moments that you can remember sometimes when you were younger, where you had just little hints and such of your intuition.
Yeah.
And interesting for me, and I thought about this morning, but I talked about this before, that it was when I was probably about 9 years old, and my mother had me in bowling. Of course, it was summertime, and there was this boy, and he was really, really good. There was no way in the world that I was going to even match this kid. Why they had me set against, matched against him, I don't know, but I just got up there, and it was very strange. It was like something else was throwing the ball for me, and I did like a 200 and whooped this kid.
In bowling? Is that what you're saying?
In bowling, and it was just like, it wasn't me doing it. I think that was like an early clue to the channeling that was coming forward later on in my life. And I'm sure the guides and master teachers were kind of giggling at that, because I just thought, well, that's unusual. But I don't know how I did that, and then I just kind of didn't think about it again.
So let me interrupt you just a minute, because you must be looking at my photo, but can you look at your camera?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm just
yes, I am.
I'm going to wonder why you're talking to this person.
Talking to the corner. Okay. But basically, I moved to Colorado when I was 20, and started to. I had my uncle was an astrologer, and he used to talk to me about a lot of things, and I was interested in it, but never thought that I had any kind of gifts and such. And then I started working with a guitar player. And he started teaching me meditation, and that opened up things. And I had a good friend who, she was a popular psychic around town. She had a radio show and a column in Denver magazine. And she invited me to a class. And I went to this class not thinking much about it. But then realized that, as we were going through it was a very intense weekend, and we were going to the part of psychometry, where you pass around, an object, and I got someone's ring, and boom, 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 everything I started reading off of it really opened it up. But I didn't take that real seriously either. I thought, well, that's a nice little party trick. And then after that, I had moved to Hollywood with my boyfriend. At the time, a guitar player, because of course I was a singer, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's when things really started opening up. I think a lot of it was I was away from family, I was away from all those things that were familiar to me, and sometimes when you step out on your own, I always advise people. I know a lot of people like to go on groups, when they go to some of these sacred sites and some of these special conferences and stuff. I recommend going absolutely alone, because when you do that, it helps you reach out for other resources, and you're not getting so much interaction from other people. I didn't have that, at the time. That time it was in the 70s, so it wasn't like I could just phone home or email or anything like that. So I had a lot of time alone, and did a lot of meditating, and then a lot of things started happening as I was meditating. I started getting messages from masters, teachers and guides, and I didn't know anything about this stuff. I really didn't. I didn't even know about the Bible because I hadn't been raised with any kind of religion at all.
Okay.
My mother had been raised Catholic. She didn't want to be Catholic. My dad was Presbyterian, and she, said, you can decide what you want to do when you get older. I can remember one time when she took me to the church when I was about 4, and it was fire and brimstone. And she grabbed our little hands and dragged us out. We never went back again. Which I remember that. Some things you just don't remember, but some things are very, very clear. So I didn't know about that. I didn't know about things in the Bible. And it was like everything that was coming to me, this master would come to me, and he was always on a beach. It was kind of foggy. There was a fire there and a cave, and he had a hood, and I would approach him and he would turn around and his eyes kind of looked like fire. And to me, that was always Merlin, so that was our first connection.
Okay.
And he would show me the scroll, and I never really understood the scroll. And he said, that's all right, you don't need to. So I started doing all these things that he would tell me, the messages that came through would tell me to do. There was a little bookstore called the Bodhi Tree. And I would get these messages to go look up this, look at that. And every time it was be the right thing about religions, things like that, prophets that I had never studied or anything like that. I didn't go to college until I was in my 30s. At 16, I became a mom, and I was married and had a child. Had 2 of them. One at 19 too. So it just didn't. All this was new to me and exciting. So it seemed that after a while, I really wanted to come back home. Colorado was home. Hollywood was just not where I wanted to be. Came back home, because my kids, I didn't want to raise them there. I didn't want them. Came back to Colorado. Did a few readings. I worked with my friend Yvonne. We did some cold cases, for the Denver Police Department, which was very interesting, but kind of creepy for me because, being an empath, and I didn't know what an empath was then. We didn't have all these words. We didn't have Louise Hay. We didn't have all of these, wonderful teachers that we have now. So for me, I had another teacher who was a little old lady who lived out in Fort Lupton. Her name was Corabelle Ogilvie, and she didn't have a phone. I would just show up and I would bring her some coal for her fire. and she would teach me, which was, just an interesting way. I'd just show up whenever I was told kind of internally to show up, and we would do that. I started working with my friend on the cold cases and such, and my family, it was a little weird for them. And I got back into the muggle world, I guess, and started working, electrical assembly and things like that, because I had 2 kids that I had to take care of things. And I also started working with local bands a little bit later on, traveling around Colorado, Wyoming, Iowa, and did that for a few years. That was right before I went to college, but I kind of put everything else, I still had my belief systems about these things, but kept it in the background because it was not acceptable. In my family, but kind of not.
Odd in the 70s, I know, or
it was very odd.
Yeah.
Exciting times we had. Yes, so in the 80s, I went back to school, went to Metro, got my bachelor's degree in psychology, had about a 10 or 11 year long relationship where I really had to put that back on the back burner. And as a woman, we were raised at that time to believe that you just had to kind of suck it up and make a relationship work. And I really tried to do that for like 11 years. And it was a great learning experience. It really was. But, of course, that denying your own who you are and trying to be who you're not just doesn't work after a while.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It all comes through. After that, I went back out, did some more music, Boy, a lot of things happened in my life during that time. But to make a long story a little bit shorter, eventually I ended up working for Comcast, got a job there, stayed there for several years. And I was sick. I had hepatitis C. And at that time, you know, there really wasn't a cure for it at that time, but they did have treatments for that. So I did do the treatments, which was worse than the actual virus. And it attacked my liver basically, and I ended up on the liver transplant list. So I was just told that, you know, there's nothing they can do. You have to just sit there and wait for this new liver to come to you. And somehow I always knew that was not correct. That wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
My sister also worked for Comcast, and a lady called in for services, and she was a healer. She was in Boulder. Judy Dienst Miller is her name. And they talked a little bit about DNA and such, and medical intuitive. And she said, maybe you can help my sister. So I did that, worked with her, and then I started taking her classes and started coming back out of my little shell. At that point, I was very sick at that time because of the way the medications had affected my short-term memory. There's like some permanent damage that was done there, which I couldn't remember to do the things I needed to do at work. But oddly enough, it works out really well for intuition because you just think with a whole different part of your brain.
Oh, interesting. Right.
So, you know, it's helps, like, doesn't it? Yeah, spirit guided me right into the pocket there. So I started getting better a little bit at a time. And the doctor just said, no, it won't get better. That won't happen. It's just the way it is. I think I spent probably maybe about 5 years on that transplant list. But in the meantime, I had met some people from First Spiritual Science Church and started going there. I just kind of stayed in the background. I hadn't done music in many years. Just stayed back, no music, no readings. But there's a pastor there, Susan Miller, kind of started pulling me out and pulling me into things. So that, I have so much gratitude for that little church and all of those people, the friends that I made there. That have really helped and supported me, on this healing journey. Eventually, of course, they had some better medications that came up, and I ended up off of the transplant list, which just doesn't usually happen. But that it was huge for me. It was huge for the doctor. He was a very renowned researcher. And my last visit with him, he had never been very personal with me, and he really was at that visit because he said, I really did not think you were going to survive. But he says, I guess we can take you off the list now because all my numbers and everything are great. And that says a lot about the healing, about being who you're meant to be. I know that other people have had.
Well, it's very interesting because. It's very interesting because once you got on that path, it helped you because you were getting, it's almost like, you could look at it this way. It's maybe not what it actually is, but you could look at it as you were sick because you weren't really living like what was true to your soul, what was true to you. And you were trying to make yourself do something that you didn't want to do. And so you were forcing yourself, and so with the stress and all that stuff that complicates things, and you're negative, and all that junk makes us sick, right? It can easily. So it's really cool that once you kind of went hand in hand.
Yes, yeah, but there was always that belief, that knowing that I wasn't going to die from that. Right. And that wasn't the only, near-death experience I'd had. I'd had a couple others, and there was just that knowing that was not going to happen. You know, and it's just listening to your internal compass, the divine, God, whoever God is, whoever you want to describe that wonderful feeling with me. It's the divine. You know, I have talked to a lot of master teachers and guides, but it all comes from the same place, from the divine.
Yeah.
And then, you know, eventually I started doing more readings and working at 1-2 Listen and doing a lot of fairs. I took lots of wonderful classes from healers, Aurelia Taylor and others.
I love
But
it.
you know, I don't do so much healing anymore as healing when I do readings and channeling.
Cool. So 1-2 Listen, what is that?
That is a psychic hotline. Mark Husson owns it. He used to have, if anyone is in Colorado and familiar with a place he had down on South Pearl, it was 12th House. It was
Yeah.
the brick and mortar store. And then he wrote a book and went to work, you know, on Hay House Radio. He was great friends with Louise Hay. And, and it also gives me an opportunity to do classes and do channeling online from 1-2 Academy. I haven't got the whole drift of doing it on Zoom yet, but here I am with you.
That's right.
This is my first Zoom, folks.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. You know,
I thought you said that you did a Zoom. That you knew how to do Zoom, but you didn't know about Facebook Live.
Oh.
Okay.
No, well, just church, you know, our church is doing,
just
you know,
like attending.
Zoom, yeah, but I haven't done a class or anything on Zoom yet, but I'm learning the ropes.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about today with the whole Merlin and the Ascended? We have the title of Empowered, Aware, and Thriving with Merlin and the Ascended Masters. So maybe can you touch on how they, the channeling, even when you're helping others, I mean, I know that they would be empowering to you, but even when you're helping others, how is it empowering and bring awareness and thriving?
Oh, you know, it's just, I never know where it's going to go. It all has to do with the person's guides, teachers, what have you. You know, I do little groups in person when we can do that. And every group is different. When we go in, you know, I'll have, you know, I limit my classes to like 12 people, especially if it's online, you know, the recorded one on 1-2 Academy. But I do live at the church, for Spiritual Science Church. And every time we do that, it's not only a personal kind of journey, but it's for the entire planet. It's planned, I guess not by me. I walk in there and I don't plan anything. Right from the get-go, the prayer, everything is channeled. And it all works with every person in that group. Interestingly enough, I don't remember what I said afterwards. Once in a while, I remember a little bit, but you know, I push myself off to the side, which is a wonderful feeling. I mean, it's a very healing feeling. I think that some mediums, you know, from the past had issues with their physical bodies and stuff. But for me, when I do the channeling, I come out feeling better than ever.
Okay.
Healing. It's like a healing for me, for the people there, and for the planet. That's what we work with.
Yeah. Yeah. So you actually don't remember. You're kind of, if you hear the recording, you'll recognize things, right? But
yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, and different masters come through for different people and for different reasons. And the whole purpose of it is to help a person with their own spirituality. It doesn't, you know, it isn't really the normal kind of when will I meet that man of my dreams kind of thing. It's deeper than that. We go into a lot of deep-seated kind of emotional type of healing and you know, healing that the past life. It depends on whatever that person's soul needs at that time.
Yeah.
So it's always different.
Yeah.
You'll see me wandering around here because I lost my Zoom page.
Oh, I know. I was like, what
Where are you?
I was checking the Facebook. Check the little camera. Do you see it? The blue camera at the bottom?
Yeah.
Or the blue with the white.
I think I have to put my glasses on to see. Excuse me, folks. Just deal with it here. Oh, it's telling me word help training. That's not gonna help. Okay.
Do you have a little bar with a symbol of the little blue?
Yeah, and it's saying quit Zoom, start Zoom.
Well, you don't have to do that. You can just, because you're still on. So
Yeah.
I think you should have a camera in a little blue.
Let's go here. Return to meeting. There we go. Hey, there I am.
I know. I went
Thank
to
you. Bear with me,
version.
folks.
All right, well, that's great. But this is the first Zoom, so.
Now you can see my crazy office, and it's office and studio. I've got a wonderful roommate, and he's a great musician, great bass player, and he comes in here and lays down a lot of tracks, and then I can sing on them later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God during this whole period of time. I know this is such a difficult time for people, especially single people.
I think you're right. I think that, I mean, I've got the blessing of having a husband here, and my daughter's been home since March, basically since spring break at college. But and now we have a guest that's been here 3 weeks, and he'll be here another week, and then her friend, and then he'll be leaving. But it's I kind of take it for granted, and I know that friends of mine that are single, they definitely are reaching out to, they can't go crazy, they're kind of going crazy, and so so
but this is also a wonderful time for relationships. It really is, because you have to stay with it and sort it out, and I find that very interesting. With the people that I've talked to, I get readings from all over the world, a lot of different people. And with women, it used to always be, well, of course, there's always that relationship thing, but it's not, as the surface stuff. It's deeper stuff. And people are taking more of a look within themselves of what they have to shift in order to feel that completeness of their soul that they think they're going to get from another person.
It's so true. It is, and when you say they think they're going to get from another person, I mean, we are constantly in this culture, I think, especially maybe in America, maybe Eastern culture is a little bit different, but that where we look outside ourselves, we're always looking outside ourselves for satisfaction. It seems like, and that rather than, really being inner guidance, relying on that, knowing, trusting ourselves, and that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of been ingrained all through our lives. And so what do you have what comments do you have on that, or do you have any insights on that?
Oh, and what's happening? Oh, wow. I think it's deep, and I mean, the illness is horrible. It really is. But it's so interesting how you're seeing different fears coming up with different people, and seeing how they really do feel. I think that they'll, you see the darkness come up with a lot of people with racism and such, and you know who they are now. Yeah, I don't want to get on my soapbox with that.
No, but it's,
I have hard enough with that.
But it's interesting because there is a lot of, there's a lot of turmoil.
Really there is.
And yet, do you think this has anything to do with, well, what do you think this has to do with? And do you want to channel, or how do we want to approach?
Let me just take a second here. I really usually don't like to do the world kind of stuff, because it's usually more on a personal basis. So we'll just see what they want to bring in with that. It seems like Merlin is really present. I see Lord Ganesh working with you a lot personally. I just have to talk
about
that? Lord Ganesh, clearing out a lot of things. Ganesha, clearing out a lot of things, around you and your consciousness, working in kind of on the outside of your aura, taking away some of the things that you thought you needed to have in your life, and just kind of discarding that, leaving a lot of room. And that's you personally.
Okay.
and it's just, so whenever you're feeling that, feeling kind of stuck with that, just call on him and he will help you. He's the God that has the elephant head and
Yes. Good.
and moving things around and
Okay.
busting through walls, because they're showing me you busting through a wall for something, and I see your keyboard there, so that has a lot to do with that, whether it's writing some new music that you're bringing through, kind of the higher realms, bringing that through. Yet at the same time, it's something that is very personal to people, kind of collectively. Will touch people collectively. So, go ahead and definitely please work with that and continue that kind of work that you're doing. I can also feel, I'm sure Kathy Mason is here because she seems to be popping up in the consciousness and the work that she's doing. And I see her holding balloons. I'm not looking at the questions or anything like that. I'm just working with what's coming through.
You see her holding blooms? Is that what you
Yes,
said?
I see her holding balloons. And they're the type that have helium. That's just not the floppy kind of balloons, it's holding helium. And it's just kind of lifting off. There's a lift off. I don't know if she's, Kathy, if you're here, if you're going to do a new endeavor or something like that, but there's definitely a lift off. And allow that higher consciousness to kind of pull you in the right direction. There have been some disappointments in the past, but it just seems like there's something new coming forward for you that you've been worked on for some time. But there's a lot of leaving the old stuff behind in the way that you did the work before. Now, we're just kind of gearing up with the channeling here and working with what's happening collectively, not just on in this country, but on the entire planet. Every little country has their different factions and the different things they're working with, but the one common denominator is working with finding that oneness, that love that everyone has. And some people fight against that, and it has a lot to do with fear, especially around the wearing the masks and things like that, because there's a lot of people that had a lot of issues when they're young, and it's like that, what about me, what about me, what about me? And this is an opportunity for a lot of people to heal those times when they were really young and they didn't get that attention, or they didn't get acknowledged, or whatever it is that they seem to be lacking. So there's an opportunity for people to work with that if they're willing. There's some that are willing, some that are not quite yet there. But we have great hope for the entire planet and in the changes that will be coming forward, especially on in the new year around. It seems like the highlight of next year is going to be around April. January is also a very interesting time where things will kind of, I guess you could say, kind of get shaken up, blown up a little bit. And this, could be not just a political climate in this country, but worldwide. Some big changes, people calling for changes. And do know that when you do your meditations, as my host was talking about earlier, that you are doing that for the entire planet. You are joining the collective I Am presence when you are doing that, and working with that healing for yourself is that connects to the part of the healing for the entire world. So, reaching out and getting healing for yourself, especially women have feeling that this is a selfish thing. It is not selfish. Do those things for yourself. Do go get the massage. Do the things that make you feel good, because as you do that, it does affect the collective. It affects everyone around you. So this is something that needs to happen. And we know that in the physical world, that might sound like a strange comment because so many people are giving and giving. And we're speaking to women specifically. at this moment, at that all of the giving that you do, you have to recharge and receive and be able to bring that sunlight at your back, or whatever it is that you need to be able to give more, and not thinking about giving more so much, thinking more about receiving. And no, it's not a selfish thing. Who can I help now? Who needs some help?
I wanted to ask a question about
Sure.
if this was what's going on right now is, I mean, I think it's probably all connected, but with the ascension, with the whole, like, is this kind of something that we created as a whole global movement just to help reset our consciousness?
Well, and it's not, yes, yes, absolutely. You know, within your heart of hearts, and the prayers, and you know, all your thoughts are connected. Everyone's thoughts are connected. And yes, it's created chaos, and it takes the chaos to be able to break through, so the light can come through. It's almost like watching a chick be hatched from an egg. You know, there has to be that pecking to break that egg open for that beautiful young baby to come through and be in the world. And you can kind of see it in that way. The theory of that, of the egg, is very important. And you can always go back to that when things are getting chaotic in your lives, and knowing that it's just that little egg that you're carrying around, this beautiful cosmic egg that's going to open up, and perhaps it'll be a beautiful peacock or something coming out, that new birth, and knowing that these things have to fall away to the side. And it's not just a collective consciousness on this planet. It all has to do with other planetary systems that are also working with the desire of keeping this planet in alignment, so it doesn't spin out of control, if that's lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Assisting in the oceans and the planets, and it will bring more consciousness on the on not necessarily political, but it has to come from personal level before it reaches out to the political part, because there has to be great change. There has to be change. Some of these systems are archaic and need to be infused with a different kind of policy, a different way of thinking. And there's too many parts parts connected together, and it can be much simpler as far as government.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you. Maureen White Varner says she would love a message, please. And I think she has a kind of a question about an oncology clinical research manager position. Anyway, so if you could give her any insights.
Hello, Maureen. I'm happy to connect with you today. Ganesh is also working with you. Also, Mother Mary working with you, especially in the type of work that you're doing. And know that you are where you are right now for a purpose, even though we see you struggling and pushing and wanting to dislodge yourself. It's almost like pulling a tooth, getting out of that place that you're in now to get into the right place. Know that the right place and time is happening very shortly. We see you out of this position that you're in now and into another one very soon. And of course, oncology is very important to you. And there's going to be some new kind of advancements in oncology. So it's almost as if you've been waiting for those things to come about. There'll be differences as far as the counseling and working with these with people who are suffering and have these debilitating kind of illnesses, and helping you work with them a little bit easier. We're taking a deeper look here at how this looks. And we're seeing some changes, especially in like skin cancer and such. And I know that this might be taking you off subject a little bit, but for some reason that is important for you to know right now in dealing with that type of cancer that has to do with the skin. Now, if you're going to get the job, we see you packing up some things from where you are now and going to, we're seeing a different district. And not sure what that means to you, a different district, but we do see that kind of happening and making that change. Between now and November is very important for you, these times. We'll leave it at that. We hope this helps you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Kristen, all right. Kristen Weber, she doesn't have a question necessarily, but she says hi, and she says, I'd love some help.
Oh, absolutely. Hello, Kristen. Still in dealing with those things in the basement and clearing those things out. We know that that's difficult for you to do right now. Because it seems like, perhaps it's the heat and just feeling a little bit lethargic and clearing some of that stuff out. But some of that needs to still be sorted and changed. We think that perhaps you might have thought about moving. And that would be a good thing perhaps next year. You will be guided at the right time when to sell your house and move forward on that decision. Even though the home that you have right now is delightful and has served you well. Going back to work doesn't feel like a good time for you until we're seeing October, something like that. It has a lot to do with the social distancing and stuff. But of course, you will be able to find a position where you can work mostly a lot of it through at home, and using the technology, latest technology, which will be a little bit awkward for you because you're a very hands-on person. We're taking another look here. And we are sending a lot of healing, especially to in your hip area and a leg area. We're trying to see if it's right or left. As she looks here around, feels like the right side, and coming from that base chakra. And as you do a lot of healing and meditation with that, there's some corrections. There's still some things hanging on. We would suggest that seeing a good healer, someone who works with those areas, massage, and as you're getting this work done, doing some of your breath work and focusing on especially that base and root chakra, and allowing yourself to let go of some of those things, some fears about financial, of which you are fine financially. We see you doing okay and being able to sustain whatever it is that you need. I also see you getting involved possibly with a group. It feels like a group that helps other people. And sustain is a very important word for you at that time, not just you sustaining financially, but also in this group that you might be interested in working with and helping. It has to do with sustaining, and we can't go into that any further, but thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and Amy Bourne, she said, me too, I would love a message, please. She says, I have so much uncertainty in several areas of my life, and the uncertainty in the world makes it more difficult to feel okay.
Yes. The uncertainty is there for a reason with so many people, with everybody on this planet, because there's only one place to go, and that's inward and trusting in the divine. You can't necessarily trust in the outside world or or your local government to help you or anything like that. That's one thing about this is this entire process is forcing people or inviting people, let's put it that way, to go more inward in that path and working with that. I know we see you a lot. It has to do, we're seeing your solar plexus area, a lot about self-esteem and so on and so forth. You might have had some little stomach issues, something like that, and know that a lot of that is just digesting, and it's not just digesting with food, it has digesting the things around you that's happening in the world, and these are things that you never had thought of, so it's made things a little bit difficult for you. We know that you're very empathic, so you pick up a lot of these things. Make sure that you really like kind of do whatever it is you do to dust off your aura every day and make that clearing, and suggesting some music to work with to just help you ground. Grounding with Mother Earth, with Gaia, is also very important right now, and it will help kind of those loose ends, because we just see a lot of kind of frazzling around issues having to do with where am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what's the next step, and we think that at one time in your life you knew all these things. And seeing a lot of really beautiful changes happening in your heart. Just to give you kind of a visual, I see these hands like this. We hope that you can see this. I do close my eyes when I channel, so I know that if I'm not looking at the camera, but we see hands like this, and they're holding your heart. And it's very, very beautiful and very loving. And whenever you get into that space where you don't know about trusting what's happening in your life, just see those beautiful hands, the hands of the divine holding your heart, and know that you're being held in a sacred place, and that all the help that you need is coming forward to you. We don't know if you have anything specific that you want to talk about, but that is the message that we're giving for you. We hope that helps you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Kathy Batchman has also asked, I'd love to know what might be most important for me to know at this time.
Okay. Kathy, shifting gears a little bit here.
Yep.
You know, because we shift between master teachers and brides.
Yes, I know. I think that's so cool.
You know, we've got Kuan Yin coming in. You know, she's a wonderful healer, helping you with so many things, and kind of empowering you. It seems like this healing process is very strong for you right now, and stepping into your power, into your feminine strength. Also, like I have chills. Isis is coming in and coming through and working for you, working with you to step into that power. You know, right behind it, we're seeing a lot of movement up and down your spine area, especially right behind your heart, in that heart chakra area, just exploding beautifully with a lot of healing possibilities, and being able to channel that to other people. You're the person that people go to for help many times, and don't ever feel like you run out of energy. Just go back to your spiritual well and dip in there and grab some more. We keep going to, I don't know if there's a young female in your life that does need some assistance, and that has to do with the wisdom that you have to offer. And there might be some things that you don't really want to share with this person, some things that happened earlier in your life. So, you know, just take that and word that the best way you can to help others, but not really having to expose yourself at this time if you don't want to, these things that have happened. The words will come. Just ask for divine help with that. Also, Master Jesus comes through to also offer some help, especially around the heart area and in the throat. Has a lot to do with, communication and speaking your truth and stepping forward. And we're also asking you to listen a little bit more carefully, but not with the outer ears, with the inner ears. Do that listening. And they're just taking me through your entire system right now. We're going up to into the third eye area and clearing off some, I don't know, it almost looks like calcium or calcite or something it's in that area, and clearing that and opening that up. So, you know, really focus on yourself and coming into your power. It's quite beautiful. I'm seeing beautiful colors and clothes, reds and purples and just lovely colors. So surround yourself with those colors, and fabrics. We hope this helps. Namaste.
Thank you.
I think that, yeah, did you have any more questions?
Well, my husband had told me he wanted to ask one, but he didn't write it in here. But it was about his art business. His name is John Konigsberg.
Yes. Lovely, lovely man. And we do work with him quite a bit. Leonardo likes to work with him quite a bit also. You know, there are master teachers who are not the typical ones that are written in the master teacher guides. There's people that have ascended, reached a certain place, like Einstein and Martin Luther King and masters who have reached their mastery, that are coming through to assist people and want to work through them. And oddly enough, Martin Luther King is coming through very strongly with your husband to assist him in some areas of his life, in the art business. Also, we feel other artists coming through. They're kind of piling in right now. And we see you doing some small, some small shows. We know that the social distancing is kind of an important thing to do right now. Also see a European connection that has to do with some of his work. We don't know if he's offering it worldwide or exactly what that connection is, but it feels like we're trying to close in on that. Almost feels like a Germany kind of thing, and English, and that could be the person that's involved with it. Now, is he working? Is this with the financials with this? Do we have an exact kind of question? Leonardo wants to assist a great deal.
I think so. With the things that happened, his building, he has a studio down in Denver that he's been enjoying, and part of it is we're both architects, but we would like to go to other realms.
Yes.
And we're kind of in pain about it. And he wants to do his art full time, and I want to do music and metaphysical stuff full time,
yes.
and teaching and all that stuff. So, and I see there's a path, and I know that we're getting there, but I think he's wondering about his studio building is up for sale again. They asked him to move out again, and he thought that was his, so he just would like any insight about, location or any kind of. I think he needs to keep doing his art. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't really know what his question is exactly.
Yes, yeah. He needs to keep doing his art. Does he do like oils and stuff like that?
He's been doing both mobiles and paintings.
Yeah.
And he's just started painting more recently and was getting into it this past year. He returned to it. He'd been doing a lot of mobiles and doing a lot of, and now he's kind of, and doing a lot of art shows in the summer, but those all got canceled and things like that. So he's just felt a little abrupt. He was doing both, and I think he's trying to get back into his painting. And I think it's just he's feeling like his place is getting sold, and he has to move out and trying to figure out his momentum.
Yes. The right place will open up for him. But there's still. Does he have a little place up in Conifer or in the
Yeah, he's got a little
too.
shack on the
Yes.
land.
Yes, yeah, and that's a very important place, because the oils that he's working with right now, when he's doing that, these are very healing works of art that he's using or that he's making, and some of that can also be sold online, because it's almost like he's infusing certain healing qualities in these works of art. Um, the mobiles it's almost like they're two different things. The mobiles shake up different kind of energy. We like that, we like that shaking up. But the art, the painting is bringing in some deep emotional healing for people, and offering that kind of online. We know that that's going to be a little bit different, but they seem like smaller pieces, so that they can be affordable for people. And we know the rest of this year is going to be a little bit challenging and difficult, because people are afraid to spend. They don't want to spend much money, and he could start out with some smaller pieces that he can offer people, just to. And I see people holding these in the palms, something that he's doing in the palms of their hands, and it bringing a lot of healing. It's almost like a healing. You as a healer know, when you work on somebody and you get that pulse happening when you're working with somebody. That's what this feels like. And it does have to do with his art, and it's something small, and that's just one piece of the work that he will be doing, because it'll be all different size. But there will be another place that opens up for him. There's one that he's not too satisfied with in Denver. We're going to say to wait until the right place comes through for him, if he has to move out of that area. There's also a shared space. Was he sharing space with someone? Because there's
Yes,
a shared
he likes
space.
having interaction with other people. He would really like to have. That's one thing he mentioned, where he keeps having, where there's other artists that are there, and
Yes.
he gets to have a community.
Yes, because this is a shared space, and it is in the Denver area. I don't know if it's the Highlands area, or if it's in the Santa Fe Street District, but Highlands feels very strong too. And perhaps talking with someone and asking if I could share space. There's somebody there that feels really good that he will resonate with, as far as art and talking and being able to creatively kind of turn him on creatively, because now it's kind of shut down. It's a little bit, it's like, oh, my shop is on. But this person will help open him up a little bit more. And whether it's a group, it just feels like a shared space for now. And I don't know that it will be there forever, but it's a good place for him. And do continue the artwork. It's very important.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we see some nice things with as architects, some beautiful forms, and you're both so creative in so many different ways, and you musically just working in the genre that makes you feel happy, not so much what's going to make people dance, but what.
I know.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm so drawn to do that, so I am doing that. Yep. Yes. And I would like to compose more. I've done some, but
yes. Well, you'll get the help, the assistance that you need to do that, the inspiration and the time. Is there a deer on your property that you connect with?
A deer?
Yeah.
There's a crow I connect with. There's a lot of deer, but I've never really personally thought of, this is my deer, but I have that with a crow, which is interesting.
Okay. That's a silly question. Okay. I'm going to bring, we're going to shift here, and I'm going to come back. My mascara is everywhere here. Hey, so, sometimes like the channeling just kind of takes over, and it goes wherever it wants to go. The guides and whatever seems to be the squeaky wheel or the strongest thing for someone to know.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
that was cool. Yeah.
and it's always a good feeling for me. You know, I highly recommend channeling. It makes
Yeah,
me feel really good.
it's interesting because there was times where I had started training for it a couple of times,
Mhm.
uh, to do past life readings really. And then I had tried some channeling, and it's interesting because I'll start doing it naturally if I'm like, um, under the influence of some substance, maybe I should say.
Well,
I'm
um,
like, hmm, not
you
sure if
know,
that's a good way to do it.
well, I mean, in the 70s, I mean, LSD made a huge difference socially with people. Um, it broke down the barriers with a
Yeah,
lot of people. I mean, some people misused it and peyote and such, but a lot of people used it correctly to kind of expand their consciousness and bring them into a different awareness. Coming out of the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, it was such a huge change that took place that just kind of
it
broke the
was.
mold.
Yeah,
Thank
it really
goodness.
was. It really was.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you know this, but we have a Native American medicine wheel on our land.
Uh-huh.
And we used to do more things around it, like drum circles and
Uh-huh.
such. And we haven't. And then we had a group of people, individuals that were really interested in the culturally modified trees that you find in Colorado and along the 285 corridor, especially. We have
Uh-huh.
quite a few on our land, and um, and then they found out that we had a wheel, and so then they were coming up here for visits all the time. But we don't
Uh-huh.
spend a whole lot of time there. I guess I'm just wondering if we always felt like there were keepers on the land, and that it was very connected
Uh-huh.
um, to Native American culture.
Yes.
But I guess it's like at the same time, we're not completely drawn to do anything there. It's sometimes a place that I might go to meditate or something, and I have taught classes around there. But is there anything that you see with that we should, I don't know if I should be doing, but I don't know.
Were you planning something August 15th
I
around
don't
that
have,
time?
I'm not sure. We were
Hmm.
talking about doing a party, but not.
Okay. It seems like some sort of, um, and I get invite only invitation
Yeah.
for people to come up and do ceremony.
Mhm.
Because that is a sacred space and it
It
has been,
is.
but you are the keepers of that. You keep that.
Right.
And
Yeah. It was really magical when we did share it with other people. And
yes.
and I have brought my goddesses up there, and we usually sit around the wheel and drum, but it's not
Uh-huh.
anything that it's like full moon every week or every month or anything like
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah, you don't need to do that. Just when just with your internal compass, when you're called to do that, then you call your people and do that.
Okay.
Um, and just being aware of that timing. I mean, you're doing it perfect. Right now, everybody needed to kind of have a rest from that physical um, contact with everyone, and the divine, the master teachers, a lot of them are kind of thrilled about some of the things that are happening with people um, on a, um, it's not so social anymore, it's personal. And it's getting direct divine guidance.
It's
Um,
it's amazing, isn't it? Because
it is.
even though we are all one, uh, we're here on the earth individually. Like we have our individual souls, and we are experiencing and creating, and it's very, very personal.
Uh-huh.
And can you speak at all to that whole concept of 99% of us is not in our body, and then
Yeah.
here we are, the connection of it, and that whole connection of like in the molecules, and then um, there's so much space, and there's so much space in outer space. Like it seems so relative. This is kind of our um, this is kind of the way the universe is, or maybe it's just
Uh-huh.
the way the universe is here. But
Well, one thing I do know is like the veils and levels are getting very thin. Um, in all these spaces, in the old metaphysical teachings and such, it was like this level is this and this level is that. And, I would always notice different levels, whether I was doing mediumship or masters. And one's not better than the other. It's just a different, kind of level. And a lot of that stuff is opening up and intertwining. You'll find a lot of people who do, their gifts are opening up now. And it's kind of, it's like, woo. and there's a lot of confusion around that. But they're starting to realize that this body is just kind of for us to walk around here and be able to physically manifest things, manifest the spiritual through the physical. What a gift that is that we've been given.
It is.
Because no other beings don't have that. And it can be used and misused in any way we like. But let me have a look here. Yeah, because many of us aren't really in our bodies. And if we are, it's not really correct. Can't get a whole lot on that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I saw one more question. Do you want to answer?
Sure.
And it was this Kathy Batchman again. She says, I work with silk fabrics, and I'd like to ask about my art and writing and healing energy, if I may ask.
Yes, of course. The fabrics are very important. The colors are very important. Just has to be really something really pleasing to the skin and working with that. And it just feels so feminine, yet at the same time, the male polarity needs to be addressed. Whether you're making some fabrics or some things that speak to the male psyche. It seems to be very important as men really need a lot of healing and a lot of work at this time. And it's them adjusting to this frequency that they weren't always taught to embrace. And things are changing with that. We also see a little boy in your life. I'm not sure if that is a little guide or a male in your life. Sometimes even if you have sons that are 30 years old, they come across to us as little boys. But that's a very strong influence in your life in working with that. Fabrics, and where else was it? I get out there,
Painting, I think it was, let me see.
Healing, yes, healing work. Continue with that. And of course, the fabric has a lot to do with that. Everything you touch. And you can do so much online learning. It just seems like there is at least one person that you can mentor or somebody working with, but you have just about everything that you need. Lots of people have all these little certifications and pieces of paper and this and that. And that's good to have because in the physical world, people need to know that you've done a certain kind of study or this or that or the other. We're seeing a website. I don't know if you have a website right now, but something that you can work with and blogging. Very important for you to get your words out into the world. As you do that, we see a lot of healing coming through that writing that you do. Very important. And see some beautiful artwork on that also. It might have to do with your fabrics. I think I'm just getting kind of way out there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, continue.
She did talk about writing and healing, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. Well, we are at the end of our hour, over a little bit. I want to thank you so much. Do you have any final words to share with?
just thank you all for bearing with me here. Because, you know, it just gets a little bit disorganized and, you know, when it starts channeling, it just goes where it wants to go. I wish I would have been able to have more interaction because I'm used to, sometimes I do radio and I'll get, you know, on
Oh,
Facebook
and they're right live.
and they're asking questions on Facebook and it's like boom, boom, boom. I can look at those questions and be able to answer them, you know, because there's different levels of, you know, channeling, and then there's the psychic work, and, you know, I go through different levels. So yeah, you can get me, if you want to talk to me, you can get me on my website, kdragon.com. I do the Merlin scopes every week. I was just working on them. I channel, I'm not an astrologer, but I channel that messages for the different signs from master teachers and guides, and that's at RockyMountainChanneler.blogspot.com, or you can probably Google me
We'll
and
put a link.
find the Merlin Chronicles is what it's called.
Yeah,
Merlin
we can
scopes.
put a link in this
Yeah.
Thread too. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eileen.
See you,
It was a pleasure.
Get to know you better and experience your wonderful connection and insights that come out. And yeah, really appreciate it. It's fun.
Okay, great. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you. See everyone.
Mhm.